Welcome, everyone, to the Tethys Shipyards. I am Takeshi Yamato, the Yard Master, joining our host, the Housecoat Gamer.
Yo.
Today, we're taking a look at the Mchla class bird of prey. The Sins of the Solar Empire Trek mod version of this.
Excellent plan.
Not the old STD version, which...
Well...
What? Yeah. Apparently this is one of the few things that Klingon engineers actually built, but they still built it to Herc stylings. And it looks like something dirty with bat wings.
Yes. Fortunately, the boys at Sins decided, you know what, screw that, we're gonna go with something different. And they went with logic. Because this thing looks a hell of a lot like...
Reinforcements have arrived.
Alright, let's get those birds of prey over here. You know, those
Where is the enemy?
You know, just for a side-by-side comparison. Here's the Vontauk. You know her, you love her. You can hate her if you want to, but that just means you're wrong.
The battle has begun.
Yeah.
Then you have this thing,
Reinforcements have
prey.
arrived.
which has TOS styling. Now, Take, I do believe you have Herclore to do.
Yeah. Well, like I said, this thing is one of the few things that is not actually Herc.
Enemy ships are on
What
their
would
way.
become the standard bird of prey for many of the great houses of the Klingon Empire began its service life not as a warship,
Battle has begun.
but as a personal vessel for the leader of House Yakto.
Fleet has arrived.
It was built in 2233. With an eye toward artistic detail rather than pragmatic engineering,
Ships are on their way.
Schla was launched in 2233 to little fanfare from other houses.
Ships have arrived.
What hadn't been counted on was that House Yakto
We have detected
would have some of the
anomaly.
finest engineers in the Empire work for over a decade on every piece of equipment that would go into Schla,
is prepared.
and the attention to detail quickly became apparent after an attempted assassination by disgruntled House members.
A battle has
Utilized two older birds of prey designed in the mid-22nd century. Schla flew circles around the attackers while General Yakto commanded his vessel in what would become known as the Encirclement of One strategy at warrior training facilities across the Empire. By the end of the fight, Schla emerged unscathed, and every house clamored for the right to have access to the next space frame of the class to leave House Yakto's shipyards.
So be it.
So, artistic detail.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Somebody decided to indulge in being childish there.
Yeah.
Shame I don't know how to get rid of the UI for a screenshot.
Yeah.
And then insert a Burrell just to mock everybody. Anywho, the Vontauk became somewhat obsolete during the
Reinforcements
early
have
half of the
arrived.
23rd century, mostly due to the fact that while the Klingons were still a very powerful state, the Federation had a combined technological output that was making them look, shall we say, pathetic.
Yeah.
And while the Vontauk was still a feared and dangerous vessel, ships like the Cardenas and Shepard classes were running circles around it and beating it up so badly, the Klingons needed a new starship class. And they needed it quickly. The vessel would be the Machala, which was not a complete and total success. The ship's armament was decreased substantially. Instead of 4 heavy disruptor cannons,
Yes?
and a quartet of light disruptor cannons on the nose, she only had 2 light destructor cannons and a single
We
photon
crave
torpedo launcher on the
battle.
nose. But what she lacked in armament... Okay, she has 4
Enemy
disruptor
ships are
cannons.
on their way. Be ready.
You can see those right there.
Yeah.
What she lacked in armament, she made up for in simplicity of construction. After all, while a Von Talk was heavily armed and very nasty, a Shepard could take out one with ease. But taking out a bunch of Machalas was not exactly the easiest task when you're being swarmed by half a dozen of them.
Or more. Basically, well, the Tuyuk class that we've covered in the book, that we've already covered, was it was an exploratory ship based on the Von Talk, and Von Talks could be modified into
Ships are on their
Tuyuks.
way. Be ready.
This thing is meant as a cheap combat vessel that one ship might not be all that deadly, but this, you'll almost never see one of these things alone.
A battle has begun.
You'll see at least a half dozen.
For lack of a better term, it is the T series of the entire Klingon fleet. For reference, I'm referring to Russian tanks. Despite their somewhat poor combat performance in Ukraine, it's due more to doctrine than to actual use, because they don't use the damn things properly. These things, however, are used properly.
Yeah.
Reinforcements have arrived.
However, its light armament would cause it to be somewhat derided in favor of the D7 class. Only its distant descendant, the very, very, very successful E-12 Burrell. Well, how long has the Burrell been around?
At least 120 years, and even if
So be it.
most of them have probably been upgraded to E15 spec,
Reinforcements
but
have arrived.
even after the introduction of the E20 core, the Burrell just won't die.
And the Burrell's success owes itself to this bird of prey. While it has fixed warp wings, it is still a very effective and cheap design, and was thrown into the fire thanks to the Ormog of 2291. Only 15 ships currently survive. That's how bad the Ormog was.
So this time, instead of being scrapped, these things got thrown into an Ormong and got scrapped in a different way.
Only 15 of them survive, one of which is in the Starfleet Museum, 4 of which are actually war prizes from the Organian conflict, and one is just sitting there at Kronos, as the centerpiece of the Tygo Corps Shipwrights Guild, just to go and remind everyone, look, simple works. Keep it simple, morons.
Yeah. Alright, stats. So, our version is not that far off in terms of the launch year from the STD, from the Discovery Campaign Guide version, 2235 instead of 33. However, we built our own stat line. I haven't referenced the Discovery Campaign Guide in any.
Reinforcements.
Scale
have
3, so we have 22 points to work with. 42 points to work with. So I've given this thing comms 6, computers 7, engines 8, sensors 8, structure 5, weapons 8. And for departments, it has 1 point each in con, security, and engineering. For weapons, it has disruptor cannons, photon torpedoes, and a strength 2 tractor beam. And for talents, it has improved reaction control system and rapid fire torpedo launcher.
Victory awaits us.
It only has the one launcher, but it can let loose quite a few can let them loose at quite a rate.
Enemy ships are on their way. Be ready.
And of course, it's also quite maneuverable. And for descriptor traits, Klingon starship, bird of prey, I think that's good.
Progenitor of the Burrell. I mean, just look at it. It is essentially a Burrell.
A battle has begun.
The Burrell's daddy. Well, the Von Talk is the Burrell's great-granddaddy.
Yeah.
Which has more guns. Probably compensating for something.
Yeah. Yeah. If you were to turn... I'm a Gundam person, so that probably shows in this analogy. The Von Talk would be the RX-78-2.
Ready to do battle.
Also known as Grandpa Gundam. These things would be RGM-79 Gems. The mass production version. Cuts a lot of corners, but you can spam it like nobody's business.
Bring us about.
The Burrell? The Burrell would be like the The Burrell would... In terms of purpose, it would be the RX-178 Gundam Mark II, but obviously it would be a lot more successful than that.
I'd say the Jagan, really.
Huh, fair enough.
I mean, it is the most successful one of the lot.
Yeah.
And that is the TOS version of the Burrell. Rounding out the last of the STD boats that these boys have redone. They didn't redo the Cloud Car. I would have loved to see them redo the Cloud Car.
Enemy ships are on
Yeah,
their way.
let me just briefly look up the Cloud Car and see what that thing is. See what they did. See what the book did with that. Ah, yes, the Cloud Car design. Here's how it goes. As the Empire grew more dependent on salvaged Herc designs, technological development slowed. The Chancellor and High Council were shocked to learn of an entirely new form of computing developed by the human Dr. Daystrom called Duotronics. Utilizing Klingons suffering from the augment virus so they could blend into the population of Earth, the Empire was able to gain examples of these new computers. Once back in the Empire, it was found that the new computer systems, while able to be replicated and improved upon, were incompatible with Herc systems. A new starship would need to be constructed to utilize the leap forward that Duotronics provided. The Chancellor tasked the Imperial shipyards above Kronos to begin production of what would become known as the Charg-class battlecruiser. The first of the space frames left its dry dock in 2250, and a variant called the Jock class launched soon after in 2252. The first space frame produced by a then minor house, Katinga. Few of these vessels were constructed before the conflict with the Federation in 2256, but the lessons learned from integrating and improving the Duotronic computer systems would be used to great effect in the later design of the D7 and Katinga class battlecruisers. Serving as a stopgap, the Charred class would be quickly replaced by the D7s in the late 2260s.
I think the Cloud car would look something like this, except with 2 holes. Kind of like the F-52, the F-82 Mustang.
Ah.
You know, or something.
A battle has begun.
Something like the Relentless or Suspicious class with the nacelles on top, with twin hulls. At least that would look Klingon. Ridiculous. Yes.
But yeah, ridiculous, but Klingon.
I dare the people in charge of this mod to do that and to improve upon it. They've already done something like that with the Relentless class, but well,
yes, I second that. Do it, people. We know you want to.